So do you think that cryptocurrencies are capable of taking over from fiat national money, and sort of solving some of the problems that you've identified of fiat money in the sort of unlimited supply, the ability for it to be kind of not leveraged, but the ability to hold mass amounts of liquidity being abused by commercial banks in order to be able to increase not only the money side but their own share of the money supply, if that makes sense. Do you think cryptocurrencies are capable of being a better form of money?
Well, first of all, it has immense advantages, and this is why they are attractive. In my view, it has a major weakness, being maybe the victim of state action. We must not forget that, for example, Roosevelt, the American president during the Depression, yes, prohibited the holding of gold. And in a certain aspect, this may also be the case when there is a crisis, that governments will prohibit, will be a law that you get punished when you use bitcoins as a payment. This is what I fear, a risk factor. So it is very good right now, as was gold in the past, but actually when you needed it, yeah, like in the Great Depression, it was taken away, was confiscated. And with the cryptocurrencies, they could just do that. It is no longer a legal way to pay. Now, it is right now a legal way to pay, although the money is you can still always demand for a payment the national monies. This is in all countries the case, that they have a national currency, or the European Union has this part of the Euro countries that use, but it is a system where it is the money, official money. And beside that, you have a lot of unofficial money. You can even give credit loans to someone simply as a promise and so on. Yes, so okay, I pay this for you today and so on. Yes, or you can use certain small things in exchange. It's all monies. Yes, so money is not limited to just the paper or the transfers we make. Here in Brazil, where I live, you see announcement that people want to buy a plot of land and offer their cars. Yes, so the car, your old car or newer car, would save as a payment. And so you have these cryptocurrencies. As long as they serve as payments, they are money. However, how is it when the government simply says you cannot pay it? They cannot really prohibit it. It seems technologically very difficult or almost impossible. But what when you buy at Amazon or in a store, and the government says it's no longer legal to do that, and you will get punished by that. So the enemy is always the government, is always the state in these matters. Yes, and they want to hold on to their money privilege because it is a kind of hidden tax, and they don't like to give this away. Yes, by having this monetary privilege, it's called seigniorage. Yes, the monetary authorities create this money. Yes, out of nothing. And this way, we always suffer from its devaluation, called inflation. Inflation actually a devaluation of the money value. And this goes into the hand of the original creator. And the original creators are the state. And it is a kind of tax that for most people is not identifiable. Even worse, they think it's the bad businessman who raises prices. The hate goes to the business people, goes to the economy, because most people do not know what's behind the process. And so governments, that is the weak factor. Now, governments depend on us in the very end. But how many people do we have on our side that will put an end to these kinds of politicians we have and really bring through a system in favor of the people itself?
That's a really interesting point you make about cryptocurrencies being because the argument that immediately sprung into my head when you began your answer was that I think it would be very difficult to regulate cryptocurrencies because of A, the decentralized nature, and B, the kind of erasure of national borders on the internet. Like cyberspace has no borders. So that makes it very difficult to just ban altogether. Like you can't go house to house with the police like they did during the Depression to say, hey, give us your gold. You'd have to go and find all the wallets in all of the corners of cyberspace. And even then that doesn't work because people still have physical wallets. But the fact that they could like make it illegal for like big retailers or any of that to use is far more likely, because they could just, in fact, they wouldn't even need to make it illegal. They would just need to tax the profits on it or the revenue that comes in cryptocurrency enough that it would become unprofitable for companies, and then they would refuse to take it. That's a really good point. The other thing you sort of raised there that I find interesting is this definition of money as essentially anything that we find valuable. Is that is that how you would describe money as such? Like anything that we find valuable that we'll exchange?
Well, it is actually, let's call it less than that. Money itself must not have a value in itself. It must have a value to use for the next transaction. So this farmer, let's say, as I mentioned, who sells his plot of land for a car, he takes the car because it's valuable, yes, and so you have a real value in this transaction. But we could also, when we use paper money, the paper money in itself is useless and worthless. However, we use it because I accept it. Let's better say I accept it, or anybody else accept it. Yes, because he knows, and as long as he knows and is sure of, that he can use it again. So the monetary system is based on trust. It has a legal side, of course. The government says any debt can be paid by this money, even it has not intrinsic value. Yes, that's the point of this monetary rule. Yes, but we have no problem with that. Yes, so if I get my salary or any other money, it's all right with me, because I'm pretty sure that I can use it for the things I need, and the other persons accept it in the same way. So it's the money in circulation, although intrinsically it is just a piece of paper and has no value beyond getting used for transaction. Now, this is the normal time, and in normal times these things function and work, but we are talking about earlier times. It was called the bad times, yes, in the history books, in the novels, and in the history of the old folks. Yes, be careful, the bad times may come again. And in the bad times, the phenomenon that happens is that you lose trust. Yes, you lose trust in government. because they cheated you horribly, and you noted that you get cheated, and you get you lose trust in your business partner if it is not very known. So there is a huge uncertainty entering the market, and this is the terrible thing, because then our transactions shrink, and with this shrinking, production collapses. And this is the financial crisis is a problem not by itself, it just the liquidity shrinks. So this is one side of the problem. Okay, some people may have problems with their financial assets and so on, but this can be cured with new money, and that was 2008. Now, this is quite different when people lose trust into the system, and losing trust means I limit my transactions, particularly those with a somewhat longer horizon. Okay, I may still use this money, which I have, which I'm distrustful of, for a bread or something like that, but I won't use it for a longer term investment, yes, or longer term obligation. And I try to spend it as fast as I can. This has happened in the great inflations, that people did not want to hold anymore this money. Yes. And then is the point where nobody no longer accepts this money. And this is the consequence is in the real economy. The real economy then shrinks. Transactions end. And we see already part of that. I mean, this is the big thing, loss of trust. Yes, we must not just look at the financial mechanisms. What happens is the trust. And as they say, trust, this saying in general, not just for money matters, goes trust builds over a long time and is lost in a moment.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, or sign up to our mailing list. Thanks a lot to our sponsor, ExpressVPN, the #1 most trusted VPN. Get lightning fast connectivity with servers in 160 locations across 94 countries. Keep your browsing privacy safe with ExpressVPN and get a 35% discount on 12 months of ExpressVPN when you follow the link in the description below. Don't forget my book is now out and available to order on Amazon and on bookshop.org. That's Brexit, the Establishment Civil War. And most importantly, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.